In the last video, we talked about the best AI tools for game dev in 2024 and why it's better to embrace this new miraculous technology instead of being afraid of it. And today, I'm going to show you these tools in practice by making a simple game jam style game with the help of AI. The first thing we need is an idea, and you're probably expecting me to immediately start conversing with Chat GPT about this. But no, this is where it's better to be a human with a brain. You are still the game developer, and if you don't love the game you're trying to make, then it won't be fun to make or play. After a little brainstorming session, I came up with this. I'm gonna make a 3D platformer rage game. All the surfaces are frictionless, and you move by shooting a shotgun and being pushed by the recoil. After a few levels, the player will also get a grappling gun, which can let them swing and build momentum. First things first, I made a new Unity project, and made our player. Because of the frictionless surface stuff, we can skip traditional WASD movement, but we still need to make them look around. So I gave this job to my good friend Chat GPT. After tweaking it a bit and copying and pasting it back into Unity, things were initially great. However, I had this small little inkling that something wasn't right. The rotation didn't feel as smooth as I was expecting. Without getting too deep into it, ChatGPT decided to multiply the input.getAxis function by time.deltaTime to make the rotation framerate independent. But for some reason, input.getAxis is like the only function in Unity that already does that for you. If I was coding this myself, I would have made the exact same mistake. Heck, even Brackies, one of the best Unity tutorial YouTubers, made this mistake in a video that got 3.2 million views, and no one seems to be commenting about it. And who knows, maybe the information from that very video influenced ChatGPT's answer. So it's a very understandable mistake, but be better next time, ChatGPT. You're making me look bad. Next, I had ChatGPT make the player jump, which it did perfectly on the first try. Cool, now it's time to get this shotgun made. In case you didn't see the last video, the tool I like the most for 3D modeling is 3D AI Studio. Now, they are sponsoring this video, but I would still be talking about them even if they didn't. I first used the image generator to get a cartoony looking shotgun. Then I used the image in their image to 3D generator to get the model. I then hit the little refine button to improve the textures and brought it into Unity super easily. Modeling is one of those things that can straight up stop you from making a 3D game if you don't know how to do it. And you just saw how easy that was with 3D AI Studio. So if you ever wanted to make a 3D game but didn't know how to use Blender, you've got no excuses now. Next, I made ChatGPT code the shotgun's shooting and recoil. So now he can shoot and slide forever. Oh, and I also made the player able to point the shotgun behind him so he can be propelled forwards. And for those of you who think moving like this is a horrible idea and very annoying and frustrating, well, that's kind of the point. The game is designed to be very hard, kind of like Getting Over It or Geometry Dash. Next up is making the grappling gun. So I went back into 3D AI Studio and generated some images. I like this one except for the little extension thing at the bottom. I easily got rid of it in GIMP and then used that new picture in the 3D generator. Oh, and you can always use the text to 3D generator too, but I personally like the image to 3D generator a bit more. Instead of just bringing this model into Unity, I decided to use 3D AI Studio's new texture AI. Now you're probably thinking, Will, there's already a texture, so what the heck is that even for? Well, viewer, the texture AI lets you input a new prompt and use AI to retexture the model from your view. You can then paint on the new parts of the texture that you like. I like the initial texture for the most part, so I didn't go too crazy here. But you can easily completely change the look of your model with this tool. If you want to try 3D AI Studio out, use the link in the description and code WILLHESS at checkout for 10% off your monthly subscription or one-time credit purchase. Thanks again 3D AI Studio for sponsoring the video. Making the model with 3D AI Studio was super easy. If only I could say the same for the coding. ChatGPT wasn't a big help here because it didn't quite understand exactly what I wanted it to do. So this part was mainly me. I looked into some tutorials, but at least the ones I looked at weren't physically accurate and treated the rope like it was a big spring. I'm not going to get into the details on how I made this physically accurate because I'm planning on making a video specifically dedicated to this topic. So subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss that. As annoying as this was to make, it handles really well, and it's a lot of fun to mess around with. Before I started on making levels, I wanted to do a quick touch-up to what we have so far. I started by making a procedural ice material. That looks pretty mid if I'm being honest. And I also used 3D AI Studio once again to make this cool little ice chunk. Using Microsoft Copilot, I generated an image of a little reticle. and replaced the O in the middle of the screen with that. I then made some particle effects for when you shoot with the shotgun. But what's a particle effect without a big boom sound effect to go with it? So I loaded up 11 Labs sound effect generator and generated some sound effects for a shotgun blast for a video game. I really liked the last one, so I downloaded it and hooked it up to the shotgun in Unity. I also did the same with some sound effects for the grappling gun.
Nice.
11 Labs will let you generate about 200 sound effects a month before you need to pay, so try it out with the link in the description. Now it's time to make some levels. I made 7 levels in total, each progressively getting harder in difficulty. No AI was used here because I've yet to find a good text to 3D game generator. But seriously, this creative aspect is where it's better to be a human. An AI would most likely make levels that are pretty random and not fun to play. Granted, these levels are not fun, but that's because it's an intentionally frustrating rage game. Next, I whipped up a quick level select UI and main menu as well. To make the border for the buttons, I again used Microsoft Copilot and generated some images, found what I liked, and just removed the inside part in GIMP. Super easy. I also did the same thing with these star badges for the main menu. Now, the stars are kind of like the game's achievements. You can beat all the levels and be done with it, or if you're a psychopath, you can try and get all 3 stars. The first one you get by doing all the levels in a row without dying. The second star is by finishing all the levels in under 30 seconds. And you get the last one by getting a score below 200 in all the levels. The final thing our game needs is some music. And I know I used Udio in the last video, but I found a tool I like even better called Mix Audio. Mix Audio not only lets you quickly generate music from text, images, and other songs, but also customize the songs it generates for you. First, I generated for some background music that's fast-paced for a video game. I also let it know that the game was ice-themed and very difficult. In less than 6 seconds, it gave me 4 songs. I liked the second one the most, but wasn't completely sold on it. So I hit the little lightning bolt button to generate similar songs. The last song here was my favorite, but I didn't quite love the ending, so I hit customize and very easily changed up the blocks a bit until I had something I was happy with. After that, I simply downloaded the MP3 file and hooked it up into Unity. As a game developer, this whole process was easy and very convenient. The most unique part about Mix Audio is how they approach the whole copyright issue. Most generative AI is trained from copyrighted material, which basically means artists and musicians unconsensually help out the thing that's replacing them. Mix Audio does the opposite. It encourages musicians to provide their music for training, and will even compensate them for it, meaning you can be sure that whenever you're using Mix Audio, you're also supporting the humans behind it. Although they aren't sponsoring the video, there's an affiliate link to Mix Audio in the description, which you should check out if you're a game dev in need of some music. You'll also get 30% off your first payment too. Just saying. After putting the music in the game and having Chat GPT make the song persist between scenes, the game was done. If you want to play it, you can play it on itch.io in your computer's browser from the link in the description. Hopefully you saw in this video that AI can make game development a lot more efficient. There are some parts of AI that still have a ways to go, but it definitely makes some of the more specific tasks, like music, sound effects, and 3D modeling, a lot more approachable for indies. If you haven't seen the last video, I went over how to use these tools and some of the best practices for them, which you can watch right here. Thanks for watching. See you soon!